Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Morgan and I'm obsessed with all things beauty and skincare related. I also am diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue or post-viral fatigue syndrome, along with central sensitization, low blood pressure, restless leg syndrome, and the list kind of just goes on. And today, you know what? I woke up again not feeling well. So every time I don't feel well, I usually just take to I want to talk with my subscribers. I want to be here with you guys, and that's just something that I always like to do. Also, since it's November, it's getting a lot colder here in Pennsylvania. I just want to say I fell ill with a virus called RSV, a child's virus, severely back on December 3rd of 2018. And I was unable to recover from it. I had a lot of issues and it developed into something called post-viral fatigue syndrome, along with fibromyalgia, restless leg syndrome, migraine disorder, and just a bunch of other issues that kind of accompanies these illnesses. So with the flu season being around and all these viruses circulating, I just kind of wanted to touch base with you guys again because one, I'm having a lot of issues with PTSD, just from how severely scary ill I was last year. And it was right around this time of year that my life changed forever. I hope not forever, but for a life, a long time. And it's just, I'm getting a lot of memories from that time period in my life, just waking up, and I feel like just the smell of winter and the vibe, and you kind of just go right back to, it just reminds you of certain traumatic events in your life. And for me, it was when I was sick. So that being said, there are a lot of people that are going to be struggling with some pretty severe illnesses this winter, like everybody does. But what people don't tell you, and what a lot of doctors don't tell you, is if these viruses aren't at least assisted, you could become pretty sick for long term. It is, I don't know if it's rare, but it's definitely not common that people develop long-term post-viral fatigue syndrome. So, I've had the flu when I was younger for, a solid week. I've been very ill for long periods of time in my life, but never to the point that I was when I had that child virus, our respiratory syncytial virus. So that was pretty traumatizing, and obviously it changed my life. I developed a lot of chronic illnesses. So I just wanted to come on here really and just raise awareness that you should be, in my opinion, I'm not a specialist, I'm not a doctor, I've just been dealing with this for a year severely. But what I notice a lot of doctors do when a patient comes in with a virus is they basically just, in my area at least, it's a virus, it's gonna go away, go. They don't even really, they have nothing to treat you with. They just basically send you out the door. They, of course they'll check your blood pressure and just check on your heart, maybe do an EKG or something like that. But mostly it's just kind of in and out. And I went to the ER so many times when I was sick. I was going back and forth with my doctor for 3 solid weeks. My whole family was scared that I was gonna die because I was so sick, and none of these doctors had any advice, any recourse. I was just laying there withering away, and they were just kind of like, yep, it'll pass, it'll pass. Well, then it's not passing, right? Time goes on, it's like, all right, the virus is gone, but you're still weak, you're still not recovering, you're still unable to focus on tasks, you're not the same. And as time's going on, more and more issues start to develop. And I'm just telling my story, okay? I don't know if this is the same for everybody else. I do have to say, this is my story. And I just wanted to kind of bring it up again because it is it's that time of year again. So for me, I have people reaching out to me, asking me questions because I know not a lot of doctors know enough about post-viral fatigue syndrome. I know that because I've been treating with the best of the best, and they don't have a cure. All they have is how to cope with it. That's insane to me, but let's just get to what happened to me specifically. So that way, this winter, you could kind of be aware of the warning signs and what I think you could do to help yourself beat this before you get it and it becomes chronic. So after a virus, it is normal to be a little slow. You know, if you're still weak and you're still shaky and you're not really 100% with it, that's kind of normal because your body does need a recovery time. So it could take, you know, up to a couple months to get it totally together. But what happens if you don't? Now, to have post-viral fatigue syndrome and chronic fatigue syndromes, you need to be experiencing these things consistently for 6 months before you can even think of getting that diagnosis. That's right off the bat. So don't be too worried if you're not jumping right back up. Like I said, I've had the flu before. I know what that's like. Sometimes there is a little lag period before you get it together. So what happened with me in those 6 months though? Why did I know something different? Why could I tell that there was something different with me? Well, one, I was getting severe nausea. I had no headache at that time, but I was just so nauseous. And every time I would go to like focus on something, my whole body would just go right down and I would just be bedridden all day long. I couldn't do a lot of tasks. And when I say tasks, I'm not talking like work. I'm talking like I couldn't wake up and make myself food. Still, after I tested negative for the virus, because of course my doctor checked that. Throughout this time, of course, he had a ton of blood work being done on me, and you know, everything's coming back negative, so he's just basically waiting for me to bounce back. I'm not bouncing back though, so I develop severe nausea. I start not knowing where I'm at. I start developing severe confusion. I would still get so weak that I still couldn't put a shirt on. The runny nose was stopped. The congestion was stopped, but these things were still persisting. So of course, you know, I did the pregnancy test, I did the Lyme test, but numerous times. I did the mono spots. And when I say I did these, you know, and of course, I mean numerous times with 2 different facilities, 2 different hospital facilities, because nobody could figure out why I wasn't bouncing back. And everything just kind of just kept escalating more. Like I developed really bad, severe migraine. So then I'm going to see a neurologist. But then my heart starts pounding out of my chest for no reason. I'm going to a cardiologist. I'm getting a heart monitor put on me. I'm going to, throughout my course, I went to a rheumatologist. Maybe this is something autoimmune. Negative for all of it. I've developed rashes. It actually looks pretty good today, honestly, but I've developed rashes on my elbows, unexplained. No, it's not psoriasis. It's nothing like that. It's just these random little irritated rashes. And like these things just kept escalating. And then I toss and turn in bed 24/7. And when I say I toss and turn in bed, I'm not like, oh, I just can't sleep. It's like something in my body is crawling and I can't get comfortable to save my life. I don't sleep, right? Because I just toss and turn, move. You literally just feel like you cannot get comfortable. And these are all like new, they're developing. And like this is like a big bruise, like a big pretty noticeable bruise. I bruise so easy now. Just a little bump of something, I'm like, like I'm in total pain. Fibromyalgia started beginning. And this was over a course of time. None of this all happened at once. This was just developed after the virus, which is crazy. My body, I get really severe unexplained body aches that nothing's coming back positive for. So I was being bounced around like a ping pong ball. Like, okay, go to the cardiologist, go to the neurologist, go to the rheumatologist, go to an ears, nose, and throat doctor, go to... where else did I go? Everywhere. Like to try to get a positive, infectious disease. I was hospitalized for a period of time. So there's a lot to chronic fatigue and post-viral fatigue syndrome than people know. Now, you could experience post-viral fatigue, right? That's normal for up to 6 months. That's considered normal. What's not considered normal though is after the 6 months. That's where the word chronic then comes into play. And I did try to go back to work, and let me tell you guys, when I say I relapsed and went downhill, it was probably I want to say the worst decision my doctor's ever made, but I don't even know if he had the choice or not. I mean, at some point you have to kind of put me back into the real world, try to rehabilitate myself, and I went down. I didn't go up, I went down. So, okay, it's a year later. Here I am. I'm a year later sitting on my YouTube channel, still talking about it. And let me tell you something. I still have every one of those symptoms. And my life is very difficult. Okay? So, when I think back, what could have anybody done different for me? What do I wish my doctor could have done for me? Well, maybe there was nothing he could have done, right? A lot of people say that. Well, there was really nothing he could have done, Morgan. You know, it was just a virus. He didn't know. And that's true to an extent. But what I wish could have happened back then, just to alleviate my body from the amount of stress it was under, maybe I could have been hospitalized and just put IVs in me sooner. Maybe a week sooner. I think that third week really did me in. It really did a number on my body. And when I say a number on my body, I'm talking stress. Like a severe amount of stress just got put on my body for another whole week. And I just wish I was admitted sooner to get, you know, I couldn't get as much fluids as I wanted in me. I was so sick, I couldn't even lift my head. So yeah, I definitely wish I was admitted sooner, 1,000% with fluids. I think that's, they do something, it's called assisted recovery. So basically, if you can't recover on your own, they can't cure you of the virus, but they can assist you with beating the virus. So I say, if you are, and now when I'm saying my symptoms, like when I talk about the RSV portion of my illness, I'm talking like full-blown, not getting better whatsoever for 3 solid weeks. And I just kept declining. And there was no, like, positive about it. Like, within those 3 weeks, there was no, oh, well, you know what? She's feeling better. I wasn't feeling better at all. If anything, I was just going down and down and down and down and down. Finally, my doctor had no choice but to just put me in the hospital, put some IVs in me, get some additional testing, and just assist me with recovery. So yeah, I think when you are battling these bad viruses, I don't think it hurts to look at your doctor and say, please admit me just to get fluids in me. If they don't want to admit you and your insurance doesn't allow it, maybe at least go to the ER and have them inject you with IVs just to give you just that little bit of energy to get your head up. Because what your body's going through, I mean, drinking glasses of water 24/7, sometimes it's just not enough. Of course I was drinking Pedialyte. Of course I was drinking Gatorade for the electrolytes. I was doing it all, girl. I was doing it all. And guess what? It's not working. So let's talk about the diagnosis portion. So people, you know, in my time, and this might be a longer video, but it is what it is. My experience, a lot of people say they have things just because they think they could have them. But I don't think I've talked to one person other than like through YouTube, but personally, that actually was 100% diagnosed with everything that I have, like on paper. I don't think I've ever met anybody like that yet, because it's a very hard thing to be diagnosed with, especially post-viral fatigue syndrome. You don't just walk in. So what I just want to say also is, like, you don't just walk into your doctor's appointment and he's going to look at you first day, you know, and say, you know what, you have post-viral fatigue syndrome, you have fibromyalgia. You know the amount of tests that I went through to get that diagnosis 100%? You have to rule out everything to get this diagnosis. It's diagnosis by exclusion. Because you don't test positive for these illnesses, it's ruled out by, like, okay, this person's clearly sick, but it's unexplained. That's what the whole idea of this is. It's an unexplained illness, unexplained body pain, unexplained fatigue, unexplained everything, which makes it the most frustrating thing in the world. So I went to a cardiologist. You know, like I said before, I've done a ton of tests. I had a gastrologist. I had an endoscopy. I went to the University of Pennsylvania. And finally, none of these doctors were coming up with a positive. And a lot of smaller town doctors who don't see this every day, I got to the point where my doctor wasn't comfortable putting his name on it, which was really hurtful for me because I felt like I was being neglected and I was going through hell. So being pushed around like that really isn't a good thing to go through, and I feel you on that. I don't care how young you are or what you're supposed to be when you're a certain age. A lot of people were like, you know, you're 29 years old. You should be recovering, no problem. Get up. Screw you. That's what I have to say to you. Screw you and shame on you for looking at somebody because they're young and they should be able to do A, B, C, and D. How could you put somebody in that category? You can't. I can't tell you how many people said, well, maybe go to a holistic doctor, and maybe this, and maybe that. Everyone gets so opinionated. Screw you. Shame on you. So I'm on here to say, get away all you naysayers. Get away all you doctors. I'm talking real talk to you guys who are sick right now, and you're in the middle of this. You gotta get out of your towns. Get away from these small town doctors. You know your body. You know your body. Like, I knew my body. I was the most hyper person in the world. I was the most energetic. Girl, you couldn't even stop me, girl. Like, I was nuts. And it's my personality. It's just what I was. But when I'm not getting up and I'm not posting on my Instagram skincare videos, skincare pictures, there's something really wrong. Fortunately, I had good friends and families that were able to pick up on that quick. My husband, again, he was even like, had my back. But I want to say is there's a lot of people that don't have that. There are a lot of people, since everything's coming back negative, they turn their back on you. Your husbands, I've talked to a lot of doctors where these girls are coming in with it's primarily women who get this, by the way, but that's just a statistic. I don't even freaking believe that. If you're a man, you can have this too. Don't just let these doctors say, well, you're a male. Shut up. Everyone's different. Please. So anyway, if you are not having a supportive family, that's not good. Please go find a support system immediately. These illnesses are nothing to play with emotionally and mentally either. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is make sure you get a healthy support system for your mental health. This illness is nothing to play with, and it takes a very big toll on you mentally, and you have to do things kind of to survive for this period of time if this is something that you think you have. Chronic pain, fibromyalgia, that's no joke. It is unlike any pain I've ever felt in my life, and it's very, very hard, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say, and what I have to say to that is shut up. Let us heal. I got you. I understand. You're not alone, and that's what I want to tell people. You are not alone. I get it. 1,000%. If you're feeling like this, don't let your doctor push you away, and if he still pushes you away, get a new one, and be unapologetic about that, because I tried being nice, like, well, maybe, because it's never happened to me before. I was like, you know, maybe he's right. No, man, no, like, I'm still here suffering. So what I also want to say is I am reliant on pain medication, and not in the way you think. That's an antidepressant. It's called amitriptyline, that is used off-label for migraines. That really at least got me out of my bed. It is my #1 drug that not a lot of people like going on. It's hard to get off. The drugs for fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, they really kind of suck. There's nothing really great about these, especially for me. I'm 30, I'm married, I want to have kids. These are drugs that aren't good for pregnancy, so it kind of sucks. But I don't know, what choice do I have? I either get off these drugs and physically suffer, and God only knows how my pregnancy is going to be, or I just stay on them and to see what else I can do. The only thing that has changed for me between last year and this year is how I cope with it. Acceptance. Please go get a therapist. Don't listen to anybody. Please go get a therapist to learn how to cope with what the hell just happened to you, because you lose a large part of your life with this, and this is no joke to play around with mentally. Get a therapist. Don't let these people tell you it's psychiatric and you're depressed. God, no. That just get away from those people immediately. As soon as they start saying that shit to you, bye. Because you and I both know it's not psychiatric. So, you know, but if you do have a history of depression, you know, I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to be putting, you know, a lot of people are a lot of different ways. Me, I didn't suffer from depression. I knew what was wrong with my body, and I knew this wasn't anything like mentally. Do I think that, you know, mental issues are a big issue, and that is a huge issue, depression. Like, don't play with that either. Don't get belittled by psychiatric. Like, don't think psychiatric is belittling. If you think you have a mental health problem, by all means, go get that help too. But I'm just saying, if you have post-viral fatigue syndrome, you can get depressed from that. Like, depression isn't your primary issue. It's your secondary based off of, you know, that. Get a therapist. Learn how to cope, because guess what? When I thought I had it together, and then I lost my job. I lost it. Lost it. And I still have problems with it. But now it's to the point, it's been 1 year of hell. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's been 1 year of hell for me. If you could get to the right doctors immediately, just try to do that. Seriously, don't be scared to travel, because you're going to have to if you want the right diagnoses. Who changed my life? The facility that changed my life? Mayo Clinic in Florida. They're the ones who said, this is not psychiatric. A rheumatologist isn't going to help you. It's not autoimmune. This is physical. And the only thing you can do to deal with this is deal with it. Exactly that. Learn how to cope. So I know when I still get crashes. When I crash, I look at my husband, get me in bed, and I lay there, and I'm not shocked by it anymore. I know exactly what's happening to me, and I just wait for it to be over, try not to think about it, get up and move. I talk to you guys about it, my subscribers. I focus on things that I love, and that's it. Keep your friends close. Keep your friends close. Keep your family close. Be around people only that make you happy. If they don't, just dip. Don't think about it. Okay, bye. Like, well, you know, you have so much other things to deal with in your life. Physically, okay, you guys, so I just, like, my camera overheated and I just put a little cardigan on. But what I was trying to say, don't invest your energy. You definitely, with these illnesses, you have to choose where you want to invest your energy. You don't have this, like, unlimited amount of energy anymore. You really have to be decisive on who you give it to. So, as I was trying to say, good friends, good family, your spouse, if they're supportive, if anyone's being unsupportive of you, just dip, like, whatever. We don't need to hear everyone's passive aggressive shit. Like, just like, because you know what? I'm taking a more aggressive approach with this video, because the amount of shit chronically ill people put up with from other people is honestly disgusting, and due to the lack of knowledge, it's just pathetic, because there's this whole community of people that struggle out there. But let me just say this. In my experience, the hardest part of this whole thing is getting the right diagnosis, finding the right doctor, and learning how to block out the judgmental haters, basically. Also, what I've experienced is a lot of people are going to say to you, oh, I have that. Oh, I have fibro. Oh, I have chronic fatigue. Or I know somebody who has it, this and that. And then it's just like, oh, you get so excited because you're like, oh my God, somebody else that has it. Perfect. Like, I need help. And then you're like, well, what doctor do you go to? Oh, like my PCP. Well, who's your PCP? Like, just my regular, you don't get a straight answer. And it's just like, what specialist has helped you the most? You don't get a response from these people. So that's when you know people are just saying they have it. Like, a lot of people love to say they have these illnesses. I don't know why. I think it's because, you know, it's just, there's a whole community of people that, you know, like to be sick, you know, and these illnesses, I feel like, are perfect for people who like to be sick, and they could just say they have it because there's no test to prove it. But if you're a real deal chronic patient like I am, I'm able to tell you the most helpful specialist out of Mayo Clinic and my local doctors has been, hands down, my neurologist. Both neurologists, they were able to really pinpoint exactly what was wrong with me. PCPs are good in that they could kind of, if you have a good PCP, of course, a good PCP is going to kind of start picking up on this, and they should be navigating you through the experience and navigating you through the diagnosis. They should know the right specialist to send you to get the diagnosis. If they're not, like me, I had to research this shit on my own, and I had to go, if it wasn't for me going to all these specialists, I would have never gotten my diagnosis. So sometimes if there's something wrong with you and your doctor's just not giving you the attention you deserve, unfortunately, I know doctors hate when people do this, but you're gonna have to take matters into your own hands, because if they're not gonna listen to you, you're the one that's gonna suffer, not them. And like, it's just, bad things can happen. So you kind of have to be, you know, your own advocate sometimes. Unfortunately, it's sad. I really don't want that for people, but a lot with with people like us, a lot of the times we do become our own advocates. If you're lucky enough to have a supportive spouse, that's great. But that's another reason why I really like to make these videos, because I want to be there for the people who are going through this. And let me just say, you are not alone. You're not crazy. You're not being overly sensitive. You're not being a baby. You're just trying to do what's best, and you're just trying to survive. And I totally get that. Screw everybody else. Everybody, thank you so much. This is going to be a longer video, but it's necessary, especially because it's November, and I think you guys deserve as much input. Even if I repeat myself 1,000 times, you know what? Even just hearing the rant might just be helpful to somebody. You know what? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I wish you guys the best. If you have any questions, I could try to give you my input, but like I said, these are very complicated diagnoses. So I do really think you shouldn't just rely on my video. You should really be going to real specialists, because like I said, it is kind of rare to not find anything in your blood work and just have these illnesses, but it's definitely possible. So get to as many doctors as you can until you get your answers. Go to Mayo Clinic. It sucks, but guess what? They're the most knowledgeable on all this put together. So love you guys. Bye. Stay healthy.